Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to another Scaring Myself Shitless Halloween edition of Wade Watches. I'm Wade, and today I'm reviewing a horror movie that just came out, The Exorcist Believer, directed by David Gordon Green and starring Leslie Odom Jr., Lilia Jewett, and what's the other girl's name? Let's see here. Thank you. Thank God for Google. Olivia O'Neill. Nailed it. So, walking into this one, I told myself this could either go one of two ways. I say that because David Gordon Green is the same guy who bought us the Halloween reboot trilogy, starting with Halloween 2018, Halloween Kills, and Halloween Ends. With that 2018 reboot, I think it's just as good as the original one from 1978. I won't say it's better, but it's just as good. It's up there, and that is because they definitely played it safe and close to the chest with emulating that original movie and giving us all that we wanted and expected from a really good Halloween movie. But there was also kind of a fresh spin on it, a new take. They didn't just copy and paste that original movie. Halloween Kills, mediocre, but I enjoy it on a kind of a guilty pleasure level because it still has Michael Myers doing what he does best. Halloween Ends, not the biggest fan. So I was thinking this could go one of two ways. This could be as good as the 2018 Halloween movie, where it's up there with the original Exorcist, or it could be like Halloween Ends, where it's just a very poor installment in this franchise. And thankfully, it's neither. It's not as great as the 1973 Exorcist movie. I don't even know why I kind of expected it to be. I didn't expect it to be, but I was kind of like wondering if David Gordon Green was going to pull it off again. Nor is it as bad as something like Halloween Ends. It's right there in the middle. This is very much your standard supernatural possession, demonic possession movie with kind of an investigative missing persons element thrown into it. So getting starting off with the positives, this movie definitely tries to emulate the look and the feel and even the sound of the original 1973 Exorcist movie, and I think it succeeded beautifully. The way it's shot in kind of like that documentary like fashion, the way the sound design is mixed and edited, and just the overall look of it really did remind me of that 1973 movie, and I feel like they succeeded in that. Um, all of the actors are, I can't say anyone was phenomenal, but I thought everyone was actually pretty good, and I even felt empathetic and sympathetic for some of these characters, especially during that first half with kind of what ends up going on, with that missing persons element in part. Um, but I guess where things falter is the fact that this is, pretty much just like checking off all the boxes, but it's burdened with having that exorcist title attached to it. So while I don't think it's as bad as the 20% it has on Rotten Tomatoes right now, I can't blame people for feeling underwhelmed and disappointed by how this movie turned out, because it isn't as exceptional and as memorable as that original Exorcist film. Let's just, like I said, let's just get that out of the way. No, it's not. But it's not as bad as like it's not as bad as like the many shitty, just like piece of shit movie, demonic possession movies that we were pretty much peppered with, assaulted with, from like the mid 2000s to pretty much the mid 2010s. They were around for a while. Not as bad as that either, but it's perfectly average and acceptable, and it just so happens to be an Exorcist movie. That's the best way I could sum this movie up. Again, I really did enjoy that first half. It felt like a genuine mystery. It almost felt like it could be an episode of Law and Order, and I was just on board for it. I felt bad for Leslie Odom Jr.'s character, and also the parents of his daughter's friend. They're obviously going through it with what happens. And yeah, it was decently executed. The second half, excuse me, The second half is where we get more into like the generic middle of the road demonic possession that you've seen a billion times over. And yeah, it doesn't really break the mold here. It's everything you expect, but I will say I will give credit to our two young actresses here. Very well done with having to show range and behave and look a certain way when what's going down goes down, like just the facial expressions and everything. They nailed those, so I'll give credit where credit's due. But outside of that, you've seen it all before, and dare I say it, the you never really get an explanation as to why this demon is here doing what it's doing. um and I just didn't feel like it was as interesting as the demon from the original movie. Though I don't remember them giving a big explanation either. I'm gonna have to go back and watch the original Exorcist. I mean, just the season for it. But I feel like they explained a little bit more with where that demon came from, or at least like gave more clues. Here, just comes out of nowhere. Or maybe I missed something. I don't think I did. It just came out of nowhere. Um, and also with this one, they do the thing that all these horror, these reboots, these modern day reboots do, whether we're talking about the Jurassic series or the 2018 Halloween series or any of them. Those are just the ones I can name off the top of the head, where certain characters are presented, and it just unlike the 2018 movie, where it's still Laurie Strode's movie, even after 40 years, the movie is still all about Laurie Strode saying, "I'm gonna fucking kill Michael Myers if he ever breaks out." It's very much about their showdown and their conflict. She's through here. She's there for the fight. Um, Unlike that, you don't really get that with this, and I really didn't feel anything when these characters showed up. It was just kind of like, okay, you're here to help out, I guess. So it was just they could have taken that could have been taken out of the movie. It really could have. There was no need to do that. In the context of the movie, I guess it makes sense because the whole thing is, trying to find help and trying to find experts who have dealt with this sort of thing. But it could have been taken out. So yeah, that was kind of pointless. Um, but another thing that worked, a couple of other things that worked. One, there's definitely this kind of like uh, internal conflict, with belief. Obviously, there's a religious element in this movie, just as with the original, and there's definitely like a belief related conflict. I enjoyed seeing that. I like seeing that kind of like crisis of faith. Um, and I also liked how this movie doesn't just have a religious element; it also has a spiritual and mystical element as well. I like seeing those two kind of coincide and mix together. That was pretty well done. And also, there's something that happens kind of near the tail end of the movie when it's really going down, where I was like, "Oh, fuck, that is a tough choice to make. That is a tough call. Holy shit, that's a tough call." So the stakes were raised, so that was really well done too. But all in all, while it's not as bad as the 20%, and while I'm not gonna rate it super low, it's nothing memorable. It's not as good as the original Exorcist movie, as I've said, time and time again. And again, I know I sound like a broken record. Um, and in my opinion, it's not as good as that first 2018 Halloween movie, where it really does like kind of live up to the original while still kind of managing to do its own thing. It's just kind of like that, just average middle of the road possession movie. So with some genuine things that I enjoy. Like I said, I enjoyed the investigative first half, and I also enjoyed even some parts of the second half with the possession. Though it was generic, there were still some parts of it that I enjoyed. Also, before I give my final rating, thank by the grace of God, this movie doesn't rely on like a plethora and abundance of those fake out jump scares or just general jump scares in general. There are definitely like one or two, but it's not like peppered throughout the entire movie. And one jump scare, actually, there was no build up. It actually did get me. So yeah, I got to give credit to that as well. So wrapping it up, I'm going to give The Exorcist Believer a 6 out of 10. There There was just enough in it to avoid me rating it lower, like giving it a 4 or 5, but barely enough there. They didn't really take any risks or chances with this sequel slash reboot, but it made for, a perfectly watchable little horror film. If you've seen one of them, you've seen them all, and this is just another average, decent, slightly decent, but still all the same forgettable one. So 6 out of 10 for The Exorcist Believer. This has been another edition of Wade Watches, and I will see you all next time. Peace.